Get out of my house. Sofia's heart flinched as Mateo De Luca's furious voice exploded through the mansion hallway, while thunder shook the windows behind them. Rain poured violently outside the massive iron doors. Mateo, please, Sofia begged, clutching her stomach carefully. You're angry right now? Just listen to me first. Listen, Mateo laughed bitterly. After another man keeps calling your phone all week? It's not what you think. Then explain it. Sofia's trembling fingers reached inside her purse, but Mateo suddenly grabbed her suitcase and hurled it into the storm. The loud crash outside made her jump. Tears streamed down her face instantly. You're throwing me away without even asking the truth? Mateo stepped closer, jaw tight with rage. I gave you everything. Loyalty, protection, my name, and this is how you repay me. Sofia shook her head desperately. No, Mateo, I was trying to tell you something important tonight. I don't care anymore. Lightning flashed across the dark mansion entrance. Sofia's voice cracked softly. I'm pregnant. Mateo froze. For one dangerous second, silence filled the room. But pride hardened his expression again. How do I even know it's mine? The words shattered her completely. A sudden pain hit her stomach hard enough to make her gasp. Mateo. But he opened the door anyway. Leave. Minutes later, after the door slammed shut, Mateo noticed a hospital envelope near the staircase. Inside was an ultrasound image. 2 babies. And the words, Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. De Luca. Twins. If stories like this move you deeply, subscribe and stay till the end. Mateo stared at the ultrasound picture while thunder roared outside the mansion. His breathing stopped completely. Twins, he whispered. The paper trembled violently inside his hands. A second envelope slipped onto the marble floor beside him. Doctor's notes. Emergency appointment missed. High-risk pregnancy. Possible complications caused by stress. Mateo's stomach twisted painfully. No. Outside, rain hammered the driveway. For the first time in years, the feared Mexican Mafia boss looked terrified. His bodyguard, Rafael, entered cautiously. Boss. Mateo held up the ultrasound slowly. She was pregnant. Rafael's eyes widened instantly. She never told you? She tried. The silence became suffocating. Mateo suddenly stormed toward the door. Open the gates. Rafael hesitated. Boss, she left almost 20 minutes ago in this storm. Mateo grabbed him violently by the collar. Then find her. Rafael immediately nodded. Yes, boss. Mateo released him roughly before staring back at the ultrasound again. 2 tiny babies. His babies. A painful memory slammed into him instantly. Sofia smiling nervously 3 weeks earlier. Do you ever think about having a family? He had barely looked up from his whiskey. Men like me don't get peaceful lives. Now guilt crushed his chest like concrete. Outside, Mateo stepped into the rain himself. Water soaked his black shirt instantly. Sofia, he shouted into the darkness. No answer. Only thunder. His phone suddenly rang. Unknown number. Mateo answered immediately. Mr. De Luca, a woman asked nervously. This is St. Gabriel Hospital. Your wife missed another appointment tonight. We've been trying to contact her. Mateo closed his eyes painfully. She was coming tonight. She mentioned emotional stress and severe abdominal pain. The doctor continued carefully. With twins involved, this situation can become dangerous very quickly. Mateo nearly stopped breathing again. Twins. Yes, sir. He looked toward the empty road. Rain blurred everything. What happens if she doesn't get treatment? The doctor hesitated. There's risk to both babies. Fear hit harder than any bullet ever had. Mateo lowered the phone slowly. Rafael approached carefully beside 2 black SUVs. We checked the east roads already. Mateo's voice turned dangerously quiet. Search every hospital, every motel, every bus station, every street in this city. And if we still can't find her, Mateo looked down at the ultrasound again. Then his voice broke slightly. We keep searching. Meanwhile, Sofia sat trembling inside a small bus station 20 miles away. Her soaked cardigan clung tightly against her pregnant stomach. A kind, elderly woman beside her frowned gently. Sweetheart, are you all right? Sofia forced a weak smile. I will be. But another sharp pain twisted through her stomach. She grabbed the bench instantly. The older woman looked alarmed. You need a hospital. No hospitals. Why? Sofia looked toward the rain outside. Because Mateo De Luca controlled almost every hospital in the city. And right now, She didn't know if her heart could survive seeing him again. Sofia stared blankly at the rain outside the station windows while the storm continued raging through the city. Her phone buzzed again. Mateo. She declined it immediately. Then another call came. And another. Tears burned behind her eyes. The elderly woman beside her sighed softly. The father? Sofia laughed bitterly. My husband. That bad? Sofia swallowed painfully. He threw me out. The woman looked horrified. While you're pregnant? Sofia nodded slowly. With twins. The older woman touched her hand gently. Men say cruel things when anger controls them. No, Sofia whispered. Cruel men say cruel things. Meanwhile, Mateo stormed through St. Gabriel Hospital like a man losing his mind. Doctors and nurses moved aside instantly. Raphael followed closely behind him. We tracked her credit card once at a bus station downtown. But then nothing. Mateo slammed his fist against the counter hard enough to crack the marble edge. She's carrying my children in this weather. A nearby nurse flinched. The hospital director approached carefully. Mr. De Luca, please calm down. Mateo turned cold eyes toward him. Did she come here before? Yes. She came alone? The director nodded slowly. Every appointment. Guilt sliced deeper through Mateo's chest. Did she say anything about me? The director hesitated carefully. She defended you. Mateo froze completely. What? She said your world was dangerous and stressful. She insisted you loved her. The words hit harder than any punishment. Raphael quietly looked away. Mateo rubbed both hands over his face roughly. God. Flashbacks attacked him mercilessly now. Sofia waiting awake every night. Sofia bandaging his bruised knuckles after Mafia meetings. Sofia smiling every time he entered a room. And tonight, he had thrown her into a storm. A doctor suddenly rushed toward them. Mr. De Luca? Mateo turned instantly. We found security footage from earlier this evening. The screen showed Sofia inside the hospital lobby. Alone. Scared. Holding her stomach protectively. Then another clip appeared. Sofia crying quietly after a phone conversation. Mateo's chest tightened. Play the audio. Static filled the speakers. Then Sofia's trembling voice emerged. No, don't tell Mateo yet. I wanted tonight to be special. Mateo stared at the screen silently. Every ugly accusation he made replayed inside his head. How do I know it's mine? The shame nearly suffocated him. Raphael's phone rang suddenly. Boss. What? We found her location. Mateo stepped forward instantly. Where? A bus station near the South Highway. Mateo didn't wait another second. Move. Back at the station, Sofia slowly stood from the bench after another painful cramp. The older woman looked worried. You shouldn't travel like this. I don't have a choice. Before she could leave, headlights suddenly flashed across the wet pavement outside. Black SUVs. Sofia's face went pale immediately. No. The station doors opened. Bodyguards entered first. Then Mateo walked inside, completely soaked from the storm. His eyes locked onto her instantly. Relief crashed across his face so powerfully it almost looked painful. Sofia. She stepped backward immediately. No. Mateo approached carefully now. Please listen to me. You already said enough. Another painful silence filled the station. Then Mateo looked down at her stomach with visible heartbreak. You're carrying twins? Sofia's eyes filled with tears again. You threw your pregnant wife into the rain before even letting her explain. Mateo looked shattered. And for the first time since she met him, the powerful Mafia boss looked truly weak. The rain battered the station windows while silence stretched painfully between them. Mateo took another careful step forward. Sofia, please come home. She laughed weakly through tears. Home. Her voice cracked harder now. You threw me out like I meant nothing. Mateo lowered his eyes briefly. I was angry. And I was pregnant. Those words hit him like a knife. People inside the station quietly watched the confrontation now. Whispers spread immediately. The feared Mafia boss looked completely destroyed in front of his crying wife. Mateo ignored everyone. His entire world stood in front of him trembling. I didn't know, he said quietly. You never asked. Another sharp pain hit Sofia suddenly. She grabbed the nearby chair hard. Mateo rushed toward her instantly. Sofia, don't touch me. He stopped immediately. Fear flooded his face. You're in pain. I noticed, she whispered bitterly. The older woman beside Sofia suddenly stood. She needs a doctor now. Mateo nodded immediately. My car is outside. Sofia shook her head fast. No. Sofia. I said no. Her voice echoed across the station. Even Raphael looked uncomfortable now. Sofia stared directly into Mateo's eyes. You don't get to scare me, humiliate me, accuse me of cheating, then suddenly become caring because you saw an ultrasound. Mateo looked like each word physically wounded him. You're right. The admission shocked everyone. Even Sofia froze briefly. Mateo slowly removed his expensive black coat and placed it beside her gently. You have every reason to hate me. His voice became quieter. But please don't punish yourself because of me. Sofia looked away emotionally. Outside, thunder shook the street again. Then Raphael's phone rang sharply. He answered immediately before his expression darkened. Boss. Mateo turned slightly. What? We intercepted chatter from the Vargas cartel. Mateo's face hardened instantly. They know Sofia left the mansion. Sofia's stomach dropped. The Vargas cartel had been hunting weaknesses inside Mateo's empire for months. And now, she was exposed. Raphael lowered his voice carefully. There's more. Mateo's eyes narrowed dangerously. Say it. They know she's pregnant. The entire station suddenly felt colder. Mateo stepped closer to Sofia immediately. We're leaving. Now. No. Sofia argued instantly. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, she snapped. Your violent world follows everywhere. Mateo's jaw tightened painfully. You think I don't know that? Sofia looked exhausted now. I wanted our children far away from this life. Those words crushed him again. Our children, Mateo repeated softly. Tears rolled down Sofia's cheeks. I was going to surprise you tonight, she whispered. I bought tiny baby shoes. Mateo looked completely shattered. I imagined you smiling for once. His breathing became uneven. Sofia, but instead you looked at me like I disgusted you. Silence. Heavy. Painful. Then suddenly, a black SUV sped past the station entrance slowly. Raphael's hand instantly moved toward his weapon. Mateo's expression darkened. Everyone down. The station lights suddenly shut off. People screamed instantly. Sofia gasped as darkness swallowed the room. Then gunshots exploded outside. Chaos erupted everywhere. Mateo grabbed Sofia immediately, shielding her body with his own. Stay behind me. Terrified civilians dropped to the floor. More gunshots echoed through the storm. Raphael shouted toward the bodyguards. Protect Mrs. De Luca. Sofia's heart pounded violently now. Mateo, don't let go of me. Another bullet shattered the station glass. Mateo pulled Sofia tightly against his chest while bodyguards returned fire outside. For the first time that night, Sofia realized something terrifying. The danger wasn't only Mateo anymore. It was the entire world surrounding him. And now their unborn twins were trapped inside it too. Gunfire echoed violently outside the station while Mateo shielded Sofia behind a concrete pillar. Glass shattered everywhere. People screamed in panic. Sofia clutched Mateo's shirt tightly as another sharp pain twisted through her stomach. Mateo noticed immediately. Are you bleeding? No. But her face had gone pale. Mateo looked toward Raphael. Get the cars ready now. Raphael fired twice toward the attackers outside before shouting back. We're surrounded. Mateo cursed under his breath. Sofia's breathing became shaky. This is exactly why I wanted to leave. Mateo looked down at her painfully. You think I wanted this life for you? You brought it to me anyway. The words landed brutally. Another explosion thundered outside. Smoke drifted near the station entrance now. Mateo instantly pulled Sofia closer protectively. Eyes on me, he ordered softly. She looked at him reluctantly. You're safe with me. Tears filled her eyes instantly. That's the problem. For one painful second, Mateo had no answer. Because deep down, she was right. A bodyguard rushed toward them. Boss, back exit is clear for maybe 30 seconds. Mateo nodded instantly. He wrapped one arm around Sofia carefully. We're moving. I can walk. I know you can. Despite everything, his voice carried genuine respect. They rushed through the dark hallway while rainwater leaked from the damaged ceiling. Sofia winced again suddenly. Mateo stopped instantly. What is it? The babies. Fear crossed his face immediately. Raphael opened the rear door sharply. Move. They sprinted outside into the storm. Rain slammed against them violently. Gunshots cracked nearby again. Mateo shoved Sofia into the armored SUV before climbing inside after her. Drive. The convoy sped through the flooded streets fast enough to throw water across sidewalks. Inside the vehicle, Sofia trembled quietly. Mateo noticed. Without speaking, he grabbed a blanket from the seat beside him and wrapped it carefully around her shoulders. She looked at him silently. I don't need your pity. His voice lowered. It's not pity. Then softly. It's love. The confession stunned her. Mateo stared forward now. I just forgot how to show it. Silence filled the SUV. Rain hammered the windows aggressively. Finally, Sofia whispered. You accused me of betraying you. Mateo closed his eyes briefly. I know. How could you believe that about me? His jaw tightened painfully. Because betrayal is normal in my world. But I wasn't your enemy. No, he admitted quietly. You were the only good thing I had. Emotion cracked through Sofia's expression instantly. But before she could answer, her phone suddenly vibrated. Unknown number. Mateo frowned immediately. Don't answer. But Sofia already had. A distorted male voice filled the speaker. Congratulations on the twins, Mrs. De Luca. Mateo's entire body went still. The voice laughed coldly. The Vargas cartel sends their regards. The call disconnected instantly. Sofia looked terrified. Mateo grabbed his own phone immediately. Double security at the mansion. Lock every gate. Nobody enters without my approval. Then he looked towards Sofia again. This time his voice carried something darker. Something dangerous. I swear to you right now. His eyes burned intensely. No one touches you or our children again. And for the first time since the storm began, Sofia believed him. The armored SUV gates slammed shut behind them as the convoy entered Mateo De Luca's estate. Rain still crashed violently across the massive mansion grounds. Security teams rushed everywhere with weapons drawn. Sofia stared through the window quietly. This place used to feel beautiful. Now it felt like a prison. Mateo noticed her expression immediately. You're safe here. She looked at him coldly. Safe isn't the same as happy. The words stayed with him painfully. As soon as the SUV stopped, Mateo stepped out first and offered his hand carefully. Sofia ignored it and exited alone. Despite the tension, Mateo didn't argue. He simply stayed close beside her while bodyguards surrounded them. Inside the mansion, doctors waited near the staircase already. A female physician approached carefully. Mrs. De Luca, we need to examine you immediately. Sofia hesitated. Mateo noticed instantly. You can trust her. Sofia looked exhausted. That's difficult for me right now. The honesty cut deeper than shouting ever could. Upstairs, the private medical room glowed softly while machines beeped quietly around them. Mateo stood near the doorway watching anxiously as the doctor performed the ultrasound. For several terrifying seconds, nobody spoke. Then, a heartbeat echoed through the room. Then another. Fast. Strong. Twin heartbeats. Mateo's eyes widened instantly. Sofia turned toward the screen emotionally. Tears filled her eyes. The doctor smiled gently. Both babies are alive. Mateo released a breath he didn't realize he was holding. But the doctor's expression slowly changed afterward. There's still concern. Mateo stepped forward immediately. What concern? Her stress levels are dangerously high. Sofia looked away silently. The doctor continued carefully. She needs peace, stability, emotional safety. Every word felt aimed directly at Mateo, and he knew it. The doctor finally stood. I'll give you both a moment. As the room emptied, silence settled heavily between them again. The soft sound of the baby's heartbeats still echoed faintly from the machine. Mateo stared at the ultrasound screen. His children, his family. Then quietly, I heard them. Sofia looked down at her stomach protectively. They're innocent in all this. Mateo nodded slowly. I know. No mafia wars. No violence. No fear. I know. She finally looked at him again. You keep saying that, but your world destroys everything around it. Mateo lowered his eyes briefly. You think I haven't noticed? His voice sounded tired now. Not angry. Not powerful. Just broken. When my mother died, cartel enemies celebrated in the streets. Sofia softened slightly despite herself. Mateo stared toward the rain outside the windows. I promised myself nobody would ever hurt me again. And now, she whispered. Mateo looked at her with painful honesty. Now I'm terrified I became the thing hurting you most. The vulnerability shocked her. Before Sofia could answer, Raphael suddenly entered the room urgently. Boss. Mateo's expression hardened immediately. What happened? We caught one of the Vargas men near the north gate. Sofia's face paled. Mateo turned toward Raphael slowly. Alive? Yes. Mateo kissed Sofia's forehead instinctively before stopping himself awkwardly. I'll be back. But Sofia suddenly grabbed his wrist. Don't kill him. Mateo looked surprised. He came after you. And if you kill every enemy, Sofia whispered emotionally, our children will grow up surrounded by blood forever. The room became silent again. Mateo stared at her for several long seconds. Then slowly, he nodded. For you. And for the first time that night, Sofia saw the dangerous Mafia boss trying to become a better man. Not through words, but through restraint. The underground interrogation room smelled like smoke, steel, and rain-soaked concrete. The captured Vargas soldier sat tied to a chair under harsh lights. Blood stained his lip. Mateo entered slowly. Every guard in the room immediately stepped aside. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Dangerously. Mateo sat across from the man without speaking. Silence stretched painfully. Then softly. Who ordered the hit? The cartel soldier laughed weakly. You lost your temper over a woman. Mateo's eyes darkened. And you came after my unborn children. The room went completely still. The soldier's smile faded immediately. Mateo leaned forward slowly. You should have prayed I never found out about the twins. Upstairs, Sofia stood near the nursery room she had secretly prepared weeks earlier. Tiny baby clothes rested carefully inside elegant white drawers. Mateo had never seen any of it. Tears filled her eyes quietly. She picked up a pair of tiny shoes. The same shoes she planned to surprise him with before everything collapsed. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Raphael entered respectfully. Mrs. De Luca. Sofia wiped her tears quickly. What is it? Raphael hesitated. I wanted to apologize. She looked surprised. For what? We all saw how much you loved him. His voice lowered carefully. But none of us stopped him tonight. Emotion crossed Sofia's face again. Raphael continued softly. Boss changed after meeting you. She looked away bitterly. Not enough. Downstairs, the interrogation continued. The Vargas soldier finally spoke nervously. Your uncle made the deal. Mateo froze instantly. What? He told Vargas about the pregnancy. Rage exploded through Mateo's chest instantly. His own blood. His own family. Betrayal. The soldier laughed nervously again. Your empire's rotting from inside. Mateo stood slowly. The air itself felt deadly now. Take him away. As guards dragged the man out screaming, Mateo remained alone in silence. Then suddenly, he punched the concrete wall hard enough to split his knuckles open. Blood dripped onto the floor. His uncle betrayed him. Sofia and the twins were targets. And tonight, everything could have ended because of his pride. Mateo stared at his bleeding hand. What have I done? Upstairs, Sofia suddenly felt another sharp pain. She grabbed the crib nearby instantly. Breathing harder now. Fear spread across her face. No. The nursery door opened sharply. Mateo entered immediately. One look at her expression shattered him. Sofia? She winced painfully. The babies. Mateo rushed toward her carefully. I'm calling the doctor. Sofia grabbed his shirt tightly before he could move. Fear trembled through her voice. Please don't let anything happen to them. Mateo held her face gently. Nothing in his criminal empire had ever scared him like this moment. Listen to me. His voice broke slightly. Our children are going to live. Tears rolled down Sofia's cheeks. And you? Mateo stared at her silently. Then finally whispered. I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving I deserve all three of you. The private doctor moved quickly around the nursery while Sofia struggled through another painful contraction. Mateo stayed beside her the entire time. His hand never left hers. Her blood pressure is rising. The doctor warned carefully. Mateo's face tightened instantly. What does that mean? It means stress could trigger premature labor if this continues. Sofia closed her eyes weakly. Mateo looked completely helpless. For a man feared across Mexico's criminal underworld, this was the first fight he couldn't control with power. The doctor adjusted the monitor carefully. Right now the babies are stable, but she needs calm immediately. Mateo nodded fast. Whatever she needs. The doctor looked directly at him. Then stopped bringing war into her life. The room became silent. Sofia slowly opened her eyes toward Mateo. Pain crossed his expression again. I'm trying. After the doctor finally left, soft rain continued tapping against the giant windows. The storm outside was fading, but inside the mansion, Everything still felt fragile. Mateo carefully helped Sofia sit on the edge of the bed inside the nursery. Warm yellow lights glowed softly around the unfinished cribs. Sofia stared at them emotionally. I built this room alone. Mateo looked around slowly. Tiny blankets, stuffed animals, twin cribs. Every detail carried love, and he had missed all of it. His voice lowered painfully. You were preparing for our family while I was accusing you of betrayal. Sofia looked away silently. You shattered something in me tonight, Mateo. The honesty destroyed him. He crouched carefully in front of her. I know. No, she whispered. You don't. Tears filled her eyes again. When you looked at me like I disgusted you, it felt worse than the storm. Mateo swallowed hard. I would take those words back if I could. But you can't. Silence. Heavy. Painful. Then Sofia suddenly asked softly, why didn't you trust me? Mateo stared at the floor briefly before answering. Because everyone eventually betrays men like me. But I loved you. I know that now. She shook her head emotionally. You should have known before tonight. Those words hit deepest of all. Mateo finally looked up at her. Completely broken. My father taught me weakness gets people killed. And what about love? Mateo's voice cracked quietly. I never learned the difference. Tears rolled down Sofia's face instantly. For the first time, she truly saw the damaged man beneath the dangerous mafia boss. Not evil, just emotionally ruined by violence. Before either of them could speak again, Raphael suddenly burst into the room. Boss. Mateo stood immediately. What happened? Raphael looked grim. Your uncle emptied 2 cartel accounts and disappeared. Mateo's expression darkened instantly. He's running. There's more. Raphael hesitated carefully. He took internal security files. Sofia's stomach dropped. The twins. The mansion. Every weakness exposed. Mateo immediately grabbed his phone. Locked the estate down completely. Raphael nodded. Already done. Then Mateo looked towards Sofia again. And something terrifying became clear. The betrayal inside his empire was much bigger than anyone realized. Meanwhile, across the city, inside a dark luxury penthouse, Mateo's uncle slowly poured whiskey into a crystal glass while speaking on the phone calmly. Yes, he said coldly. The woman is still alive. A pause. Then a cruel smile spread across his face. But not for long. At 3:17 a.m., the mansion alarms suddenly exploded through the estate. Red emergency lights flashed across the hallways instantly. Sofia jerked awake in panic. Mateo was already reaching for the gun beneath the bedside drawer. Stay here. Fear filled her voice immediately. Mateo, I'll come back for you. Then he rushed into the hallway with Raphael and armed guards already moving through the mansion. Chaos erupted downstairs. Bodyguards shouted into radios. Security monitors flickered rapidly. Mateo stormed into the surveillance room. What happened? A guard pointed toward the screens nervously. North perimeter breach. Mateo's jaw hardened. How many? Unknown. Then suddenly, one monitor went black. Then another. And another. Raphael cursed under his breath. They're killing cameras one by one. Mateo instantly understood. This wasn't random. Someone inside the estate was helping them. Upstairs, Sofia slowly stood from bed despite the doctor's warnings. Her heart pounded violently. She touched her stomach protectively. It's okay, she whispered softly to the twins. Mama's here. Then the nursery lights suddenly shut off. Darkness swallowed the room. Sofia froze. A slow creaking sound echoed from the hallway outside. Someone was there. Her breathing became shaky immediately. Mateo. No answer. Only silence. Then, footsteps. Closer. Sofia grabbed the nearest lamp defensively while backing toward the crib. The door slowly opened. A shadow stepped inside. Sofia swung the lamp instantly. Wait. Raphael caught it just before impact. Sofia gasped in relief. Raphael, we need to move now. Where's Mateo? Handling security. Another gunshot echoed somewhere downstairs. Sofia flinched hard. Raphael guided her carefully toward the hidden hallway behind the nursery bookshelf. You knew about this room? She asked breathlessly. Boss built escape routes after the Vargas War. As the secret door closed behind them, Sofia looked terrified. This never ends, does it? Raphael stayed silent. Because he knew the truth. No, it didn't. Downstairs, Mateo brutally slammed an intruder against the marble floor. Who sent you? The masked man laughed through blood. You're already too late. Mateo's eyes darkened dangerously. Too late for what? The intruder smiled weakly. Your uncle sends his regards. Then suddenly, the man bit down on something hidden inside his mouth. Poison capsule. Within seconds, blood spilled from his lips. Dead. Mateo stepped back slowly. Rage boiled through him now. His own uncle had declared war, and Sofia was trapped in the middle of it. Raphael's voice suddenly crackled through Mateo's radio. Boss. What? We found another breach point. Mateo grabbed the radio harder. Where? A terrifying pause followed. Then, near Sofia's room. Mateo's blood ran cold instantly. Sofia. He sprinted upstairs faster than the guards behind him could follow. His heartbeat pounded violently now. Not from fear for himself. Fear for her. Fear for the twins. Fear that he might lose everything before getting the chance to fix what he destroyed. And for the first time in his life, the mighty Mateo De Luca prayed desperately. Mateo tore through the upstairs hallway while armed guards flooded the mansion behind him. Sofia. No answer. His chest tightened violently. The nursery door stood partially open. One bodyguard lay unconscious beside it. Mateo's heartbeat slammed harder. He rushed inside. Empty. The crib rocked slowly back and forth. Fear unlike anything he had ever known crashed through him instantly. Sofia. Raphael's voice suddenly came through the hidden earpiece. Boss. She's with me. Mateo nearly collapsed from relief. Where? South Tunnel. Mateo grabbed the radio tighter. Protect her with your life. Meanwhile, Sofia hurried through the underground passage beside Raphael while emergency lights flashed red along the concrete walls. Her breathing was shaky now, not only from fear. Another pain hit her stomach sharply. She stopped instantly. Raphael turned quickly. Mrs. De Luca? The babies. She grabbed the wall tightly. Raphael looked genuinely worried now. We need the doctor. No hospitals, Sofia whispered painfully. Not until this ends. Raphael hesitated before saying quietly, with respect, this may never fully end. Those words settled heavily between them. Sofia looked exhausted. That's what scares me. Suddenly, the tunnel lights flickered violently. Then complete darkness. Raphael instantly pulled his weapon. Stay behind me. A metallic sound echoed somewhere ahead. Footsteps. More than one person. Raphael's expression hardened. We're compromised. Sofia's heart pounded uncontrollably now. The twins shifted painfully again. Then voices echoed through the tunnel. Spread out. Cartel men. Close. Raphael whispered urgently. When I say run, don't stop. Gunfire exploded suddenly. The tunnel erupted into chaos. Raphael fired immediately while shielding Sofia behind a concrete pillar. Bullets sparked against the walls. Sofia covered her stomach instinctively. Fear consumed her completely now. Back upstairs, Mateo stormed toward the hidden entrance with 6 armed guards. Another bodyguard intercepted him. Boss. Vargas' men breached the east wing too. Mateo looked murderous. They're distracting us. Then realization hit instantly. His uncle never wanted the mansion. He wanted Sofia isolated. Mateo grabbed the guard aggressively. How long since Raphael checked in? 3 minutes. Mateo released him fast. Too long. He turned toward his men. Move. Back inside the tunnel. Raphael reloaded quickly behind cover. We're trapped. Sofia looked pale. Can we get out another way? Before Raphael could answer, a familiar voice echoed through the darkness. You should have left the city while you had the chance. Sofia froze instantly. Mateo's uncle slowly stepped forward under the flashing red emergency lights. Elegant suit. Calm smile. Cold eyes. You, Sofia whispered. The older man smiled politely. You always were too good for this family. Raphael aimed immediately. Don't move. Mateo's uncle laughed softly. You won't shoot me. Mateo still needs answers. Try me. The man's expression darkened slightly. I warned Mateo years ago that love would destroy him. Sofia's voice shook with anger. You betrayed your own blood. No, he replied coldly. I protected the empire from weakness. Then his eyes dropped toward her stomach. The twins make Mateo vulnerable. Protective rage exploded inside Sofia instantly. They're children. In our world, he said quietly, children become leverage. Those words horrified her completely. Suddenly another contraction slammed through her body. She cried out softly. Raphael looked alarmed. We need to leave now. But Mateo's uncle smiled faintly. I'm afraid that won't happen. More armed men emerged behind him. Outnumbered, Raphael slowly positioned himself in front of Sofia protectively. Then, a furious voice thundered through the tunnel. Get away from my wife. Everyone turned instantly. Mateo appeared at the far end of the corridor with armed guards behind him. His eyes burned with pure rage. Not business rage. Not mafia rage. Personal rage. His uncle sighed heavily. You always were emotional where she's concerned. Mateo walked forward slowly, dangerously calm. You threaten my children. The older man shrugged lightly. You built an empire through violence. Don't act shocked when violence returns home. Mateo stopped only feet away now. Rainwater still dripped from his black shirt. His knuckles remained bloodied, but his voice was ice cold. You used my family. His uncle smiled slightly. And you chose them over power. Silence. Then Mateo answered quietly. Yes. Even Sofia looked stunned by the certainty in his voice. Mateo never took his eyes off his uncle. Which means tonight. His expression darkened completely. You lose. The underground tunnel fell into deadly silence. Mateo stood between Sofia and every gun pointed toward her. His uncle smiled coldly. You're willing to burn your empire for one woman. Mateo never looked away from him. For my family? Yes. The answer stunned everyone. Even Raphael glanced toward Mateo differently now. Because the feared mafia boss who once valued power above everything was choosing love. His uncle's expression hardened. You've become weak. Mateo's jaw tightened. No. Then quietly. I finally became human. Gunfire exploded instantly. The tunnel erupted into chaos again. Raphael fired first while pulling Sofia toward cover. Mateo moved like a storm. Fast. Violent. Precise. Two attackers dropped immediately. Another rushed him from behind. Mateo slammed him brutally against the concrete wall before disarming him instantly. Sofia covered her stomach while bullets sparked around them. Her breathing became uneven again. Another contraction hit harder this time. Mateo. He turned immediately after hearing the pain in her voice. Fear crossed his face instantly. Sofia. His uncle used the distraction. A gun raised directly toward Sofia. Time slowed. Mateo saw it. Sofia saw it. Raphael shouted. Then, Mateo threw himself forward without hesitation. The gunshot echoed violently. Sofia screamed. Mateo collapsed hard onto the concrete floor. Blood spread across his shoulder rapidly. No. Sofia crawled toward him immediately despite Raphael trying to shield her. Mateo winced painfully but grabbed her face instantly. Look at me. Tears streamed uncontrollably down Sofia's cheeks. You got shot. I'm fine. You're bleeding. But Mateo only touched her stomach carefully. The babies. Sofia nodded shakily. They're moving. Relief flooded his face instantly. Meanwhile, Raphael and the guards surrounded Mateo's uncle completely. The older man slowly lowered his weapon. You die for her? Mateo struggled painfully to his feet again. Without fear. Without hesitation. Yes. Silence filled the tunnel. The uncle studied him for several long seconds. Then finally laughed bitterly. That woman destroyed the last ruthless part of you. Mateo stared coldly back. No. He wrapped an arm protectively around Sofia. She saved what was left of me. The emotional weight of those words hit Sofia deeply. For the first time since the nightmare began, she truly believed his regret. But suddenly Sofia gasped sharply again. A warm liquid spread down her legs. The doctor's warning flashed through Mateo's mind instantly. Premature labor. Fear consumed him completely. Sofia, her terrified eyes met his. Mateo, something's wrong. Everything stopped. The mafia war. The gunfire. The betrayal. None of it mattered anymore. Only her. Only the twins. Mateo grabbed her carefully into his arms despite his injury. Get the cars ready now. Raphael shouted into the radio instantly. The convoy raced through the storm-covered city faster than ever before. Inside the SUV, Sofia cried softly from pain while Mateo held her trembling hands. Stay with me. I'm scared. His voice broke completely. So am I. Sofia looked at him emotionally through tears. This was no longer the cold mafia king. This was a terrified husband. A terrified father. Mateo kissed her forehead repeatedly. Listen to me carefully. His eyes filled with emotion. You are not facing this alone again. Another painful contraction hit. Sofia screamed softly. Mateo nearly shattered hearing it. If love stories like this stay with your heart, subscribe now and keep watching till the end. The hospital lights finally appeared through the rain, but as the SUV doors opened, doctors rushed outside urgently. One look at Sofia's condition changed their expressions immediately, and Mateo heard the words every father fears most. We may lose the babies if we don't operate now. The operating room doors stayed closed for 3 unbearable hours. Mateo stood outside completely covered in dried blood and rainwater while silently staring at the floor. For the first time in his life, nobody feared him, because grief had already broken him first. Raphael approached carefully. "Boss, you should sit down." Mateo shook his head slowly. "I threw her away when she needed me most." His voice cracked completely, and now she might never forgive me. Before Raphael could answer, the operating room doors finally opened. Mateo froze instantly. The doctor stepped forward with exhausted eyes, then smiled softly. The surgery was successful. Mateo nearly collapsed from relief. And the babies? Healthy twin boys. Tears filled Mateo's eyes immediately. Minutes later, he entered Sofia's recovery room quietly. She looked weak, but alive. 2 tiny babies rested beside her. Mateo stared at them emotionally before kneeling beside Sofia's bed. "I don't deserve this family," he whispered painfully. Sofia looked at him silently. Mateo gently kissed her hand. "But I'll spend every day earning it." A long silence followed. Then Sofia finally moved slightly closer toward him. Not full forgiveness, but hope. Weeks later, rain fell softly outside the mansion again. But this time, Mateo stood beside the window holding one of his sons while Sofia held the other. And when thunder echoed outside, Mateo gently wrapped a blanket around her shoulders first. Because the man who once threw his pregnant wife into the storm had become the same man who would spend forever protecting her from it. Subscribe for more unforgettable love in the Underworld stories.